I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. First off, I just consider a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Sean?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Then in our share file, we have the longevity and the reports. I'd like to move on to the consent agenda. Consider a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Sean, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Then we have our opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to address the commission on items not on the agenda? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll move on to the commissioner report. Do any commissioners have anything to report?
Madam Chair, we have our next Courthouse Improvement Committee meeting occurring tomorrow night, March 3rd at 7 o'clock. Welcome the public to attend. And the topic up for discussion is going to be listening to the State's Attorney's Office and the Sheriff's Department talk about their space needs both now and into the future. So I would invite the public and others to attend if they're interested in hearing about that.
That starts at 7, correct?
7 o'clock.
Just to add to that a little bit, the Unified Judicial System was doing a survey regarding surveyor statewide for all of the courthouses. And yesterday, I was able to meet with Judge Howman and the Sheriff's Department, Deputy Knutson, and completed that study, so that will get forwarded on for that purpose. Anybody else?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
last Friday, Commissioner Schmidt and I organized an appraiser to come to the transfer station and appraise the transfer station. And so I know that there'll probably be some kind of a written report coming in the near future, the value of that and the property and so on and so forth. So
All right.
that has been done. Also, there is another meeting later this month of the Sioux Valley Railroad Authority, which I'll be going to. And of course, they are in kind of a transition right now. It's kind of interesting that involving the state is selling partially that area of land, and it's apparently been going on for quite some time to make all the legal descriptions and so on and so forth. Won't affect us in any way, but just some things happening, and we'll have more detail after that meeting on March 19th.
All right, thank you. Did you have anything for informational purposes?
I have nothing to add at this time.
All right, we'll move on to regular business then. Item 1, Commissioner Schmidt.
Yes, it's my pleasure. Scott, do you want to come up? I was at the Makita, or the new organization, which name I don't know, but I was sitting in the audience and I found out that one of our communities in Lincoln County was named the most innovative community. And I saw this young man that gets up, and I'm going off script now, Scott, because I think you're chair of the school board, you're chair of economic development, and a few other sundry things. So I thought it was nice to be able to share with not only the commission, but the residents of the whole county on what that was that you won and why you won that. So Scott,
Okay.
welcome.
All right, like Jim said, my name is Scott Larson. I am the president of the Economic Development Corporation here in Canton, also the board chair at the school board, and a few other things that I do in town. I'm also the CEO at the Sanford Hospital here in town. But we received the Community Innovation Award at the Makita annual meeting last Thursday. And the reason we won that is we've been working on a housing development, which is much needed in Canton. And we are, hopefully I don't jinx myself, but we should have something signed by the end of this week on some property that we're gonna be purchasing from the hospital foundation. It's about 64 acres on the east side of town essentially between Baumgart, if you're gonna, or the airport road and the golf course. And we started this whole thing about 2 years ago, so it's taken a lot of patience and a lot of work to get to this point, but, with a lot of the businesses moving into the Sioux Falls area, we had 4 now, developers interested in working with us down here, so we interviewed them and selected one, and we're just negotiating some final language terms before we make that transaction. But the hope is that they will be able to get into the ground. I just talked to, or he just left me a voicemail. They want to get dirt work moving by the end of this month, which is huge. But their plan is to do, at this point, 2 16-plex multifamily apartment buildings and roughly 10 to 12 villa townhomes out there, and then they'll continue to move forward with spec homes and/or custom homes. And the one thing that our foundation was one of the caveats of selling the land is that 15 acres of it has to go to green space. So we've worked with a company called ISG to develop that land out there, and we have space carved out for baseball fields, football, flag football fields, walking path from town all the way out to the golf course. So that's kind of the short and sweet of it, but that's what we won the award for, and barring any major obstruction, we should be seeing something move out there yet this spring. So I'm hoping that'll leapfrog Canton a little bit more into some of the housing and some of the other things that we can benefit from. So from my perspective, it's a win-win-win, because I'm the school board. We'll hopefully bring more kids in, and it'll bring more patients to the hospital, and bring more people to town, so more tax dollars. So, any questions?
Just thank you, Scott.
Yep.
So we can safely say that Canton is on the move.
Yes. Knock on wood, so.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you for coming.
Yes,
We've got opening of sealed bids for surplus highway equipment dump trucks.
Yeah, we
How-
got
how
4
ma-
bids. Oh,
How
sorry.
many did we get?
4 for each of the trucks.
All right.
I'll open them now. Paul Iverson for $7,200. Hugendorn Construction for $10,651. Russ and Anita Hazel for $5,700. And Jonathan and Tara Hagena for $5,100. So the high bid was Hugendorn Construction for $10,651.
Was that for both dump trucks, Sean?
This is for just truck A.
Okay. Entertain a motion?
So moved to accept the Hagedorn bid of $10,000 for truck A.
Second.
That's Hugadorn. correct?
Hagedorn, excuse me. Remind me of a teacher.
There was a Hagena and a Hugadorn. I just wanted to make sure we were on the right one. All right. Hugadorn.
Hugendorn.
Yes.
All right. Any discussion? Sean, you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. And then we have another opening sealed bids.
Yep, we
Or-
have truck B
Okay.
yet. We have Jonathan and Tara Hagena for $1,503. Paul Iverson for $6,100. Russ and Anita Hazel for $3,100. And Hugendorn Construction for $11,651. So the high bid would be Hugendorn Construction for $11,651.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion.
Also moved, Madam
Second.
Chair, for Hogan Dorn Construction, 11,600.
Second, Commissioner Gibbons' motion.
Thank you. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Then we'll move on to item number 3, opening sealed bids for surplus tax deed property, legally described as tract 16 in DNL Industrial Edition.
I received one bid for this from MDB Properties LLC for $2,500.
Madam Chair, has this been appraised, that property?
Yeah, that was my question as well.
It has been appraised. It was appraised for $5,121.
I'd entertain a motion, whatever the board wants to do on that.
Who appraised that? Does it say, Sean? Was that a professional appraiser, or was that, did we have just local?
It was a committee, I can tell you who was on it here. It was David Gillespie, Joel Aarons, and Ethan Peiske.
Commissioner Aaron's, what do you think?
I think we should reject the bid and re-advertise.
That's your motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Which property is this? Like, what is it?
This is north of T. It's kind of a odd-shaped lot behind two commercial properties. It doesn't appear to have a roadway access. It's almost in city limits, but it isn't quite in that industrial area north of town.
Any other discussion? Sherry, what is it costing us to advertise these?
John, do we have the cost on?
I can give you an estimate.
We don't have the affidavits with it.
Yeah, we don't have the affidavits yet for this,
Okay,
but probably I'd estimate 150 maybe max.
And it was the second time advertising it?
This is the second time because we had a failure to publish on this, and so we had to extend the deadline.
And between both advertisements, we only had the one bid.
okay, there's a motion on the table to reject the bid. Sean, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
No. So the bid's rejected, motion carries. We'll move on to item number 4. I guess on that last, on 3, we'll re-advertise. All right, maybe 3's a charm.
Let's hope so.
All right, we'll move on to item number 4, opening sealed bids for a farmland lease at property legally described as the northeast quarter of section 36, township 100.
We received one bid for this for $3,625 per year, and it is a 2-year lease. This is from Alan and Kathy Rippentrop.
And there wouldn't have been any appraisals done on that, correct?
Correct, this is a lease for farming that property south of T.
Sure. I'd entertain a motion.
Is that the contentious land that we're dealing with, or is this another parcel?
No, this is the jail
It's the
site
same
property.
land.
That's the same land?
Yeah.
I think,
They want a 2-year lease on that, right? Was that what
well,
their
I'm
bid
just
showed?
wondering,
Yes.
Bill,
Is this for 50
on
acres?
item number 4,
Yeah, is that for that 50?
we have a sealed bid for farmland lease on that T property. So that's what we're talking about right now. The one that was surplus last week. Right, that's what I was thinking. So I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
That'd be under legal, subsection 2, or excuse me, subsection 3 of 125, SDCL 125-2. Correct,
Yes.
The
Thank-
motion was for.
thank you. Executive session.
Oh. Second.
Sean?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes?
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. So we'll be in executive session. For a second,
I'll second.
Sean?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes?
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. So we're on item number 4, on the opening of sealed bids. We had a $3,625 bid, is that correct, Sean?
That'd be correct.
Yep, yes, ma'am.
And that was per year over 2 years.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd entertain motion.
Motion to reject the sealed bid that we opened up and to re-advertise.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion?
The reason I'm moving to reject the sealed bid is it's just too low. Cash rent on Lincoln County property averages about at least $150 to $200 an acre. I think $200 an acre is also what the Department of Agriculture website tells us is the average for Lincoln County land right now. And so there's more acres out there than what the $3,600 and change bid would suggest, and so that is the reason why I'm moving to reject the bid.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
I think that's a pretty universal thought because there's it's good, there is some good crop ground out there. And I think that we had one individual said we should be approaching the $7,000 level, so I would concur with Commissioner Aaron's on that. We'll call the question.
Thank you. Sean, you want to call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes?
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes?
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Move on to item number 5. Is Mr. Rundy here? Come on up. State your name and your address, please.
Doug Rundy, 3904 West 89th Street, Sioux Falls, 57108.
Go ahead.
So a week and a half ago, I found out I'm the primary owner of the property. My mom was secondary just because I had no credit at the time to get a house. And when she passed away in 2012, nothing was said to me before this. And a week and a half ago, I've considered refinancing my house or even selling it. And so I called down to check on liens and found out that she had medical bills, $30,000 lien against my house that I had no clue about. She never told me. My mom was never loved her, but she could never be trustworthy. She did stuff to my grandparents. She did stuff to my brother. Even if she was alive today, I'm not sure she would tell me she did this. After I found that out, I went through, found bags of medical bills she had put away in the closet. I did find one from the county where it looks like Sanford had initiated the request for her because she had no insurance, that the county help her with her medical bills. I do have copies here for you that I brought, where she denied the service because she even stated in there that she didn't think it would be fair to me to put a lien on the house. So I'm just here appealing for any help with this, because I've made the mortgage payments on this house. She would give me a couple $100s a month. I just about lost the house because our payment was too much, and we went through a remodification to keep it. I was putting myself through school. She passed away of a heart attack in the house in 2012. My brother, who's here with me, found her that morning. And then we went to the county because I was also on medical leave. I had surgery the week before she'd passed away, ended up with a blood clot the week of her passing. Had never had to plan a funeral for a parent, didn't know what to do. My aunt on my dad's side came over to help us. We didn't have the money. My mom had no life insurance. She had no money. She pretty much lived off of her disability that she was getting. And we went to the county for help for her funeral. So I knew I had that lien of $2,500 for the assistance for that, which I plan on paying back. But I had no clue about this medical bill one that she had done to me.
Thank you.
Would you like copy, I made one for each of you of that letter I had found.
If you want to go ahead and give that to our legal counsel. I guess what I would like to do is table this, because I don't, there may be portions that we could forgive, portions that we could not forgive. And I kind of want to know more about what that looks like. So, I would entertain a motion to table this till legal counsel can take a look at it.
Also move, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Sean, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. So we'll table this and have, it's tabled. Legal counsel's gonna look at that and see what we can do, and then, we'll be in touch. Move on to item number 6, the transfer of airport Q8 hangar lease from Vanlandia Inc. to Dakota Aviation. Bill?
Which one do we have? Q8?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
Q8 is a 1,700 square foot hangar that is being asked to be transferred from one party to another. There are 5 lease installments. There's 2 that's still left on this one, 2 5-year extensions. The yearly dollar amount for it is $340 at 20 cents a square foot. So this is a pretty standard transfer where they sell the hangar, and then we agree to transfer the lease to the new owner of the hangar. So that's what's being requested here.
So moved. Or, excuse me, I'll make a motion to, I'll make a motion to transfer airport Q8 hangar lease from Vanlandia to Dakota Aviation.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, Sean, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Move on to item 7, the transfer of airport Q9 hangar from Lamar Van Huveld to Stephen Rokar and Alice Rokar, excuse me.
Okay. This is the same situation, which is Q9 is a 1,600 square foot hangar. There are 4 additional 5-year leases on this one. It is at the 20 square foot that the board had raised it to, and yearly it is $320, so it falls beneath the need to advertise, so we just ask you to grant the request.
You've heard the request. Is there a motion?
I'll move to transfer airport Q9 hangar lease from Lamar Van Huvelen to Stephen and Alice Rokar.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Sean, you call the roll, please.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. And we will move on to disclosures by senior managing underwriter. Item 8, pursuant to MSRB Rule G17, Lincoln County, South Dakota Economic Development Revenue Bonds, Augustana College Association Project. Mr. Meyerhand, are you here to tee that up?
I am.
All right.
This is the beginning part. Augustana is intending to refinance its debt and build some new dormitories, among other improvements. And they're a 501c3 corporation, and under federal law, 501c3s may borrow tax exempt, but they have to go find a governmental entity to act as a conduit to run it through. Now, historically, I think back in the 2000s, Lincoln County did this for Augustana prior. They've also had Minnehaha County do it also, but they're this year doing a bond issue, which they want to use bank qualification, so this would have put them over. So they came to Lincoln County and asked. The G17 letter, this is a new rule that went into effect, which basically states that underwriters are supposed to send a letter to the issuer saying, look, we don't owe you a duty, we only act on our behalf, and that's a requirement that they do before they go into a project. What they did federally is they separated municipal or financial advisors from underwriters. If you hired a municipal advisor or financial advisor, they owe the county a fiduciary duty, like your lawyer, like your bond counsel, et cetera. And so this letter is just to let the issuer know that the underwriter's not acting within, for your benefit. I'm wearing Augustana Counsel's hat, Bellard Spar, which I think they have an office in Sioux Falls, but they'll be bond counsel there somewhere on the East Coast, working out of their house. So the process is, once this gets going, under federal law, there has to be a hearing. There'll be a publication 7 days prior, at least. Then a hearing. Historically, over the last 35 years, the only people that normally show up to the hearing are the 501c3 representatives to say, this is a great deal, thank you so much for helping us out. This is probably not it's not like a group home or anything else that would bring up controversy in zoning or building something. So this will be pretty standard. I'm always asked these questions. One, will this affect the bond rating of the county? And the answer is no. Even if they default, it doesn't. There's a lot of Minneapolis 501c3s that had a problem and it didn't affect at all. And two, is there any way that the county can be liable for any part of this debt? And that answer is absolutely not. There's actually a statutory provision that says the county cannot pledge anything, taxing powers, credit, for the payment of these bonds. So basically, the county acts as a conduit, they issue the debt, they loan it to the 501c3, and there's a trustee involved, and the minute it closes, the county, other than on an annual basis, has to put it as a footnote in the audits, saying this is how much is owed on our conduit debt. That's it. And so the G17 letter is just the first start of it.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. Just so the public knows, there's no financial impact to the county here.
No.
That's why they call it conduit financing, because a nonprofit is simply bootstrapping, if you will, off of the county's authority, and then they'll be paying the bonds back directly to the bond issuer. Yeah.
The trustee, they'll
To
be
the
paying the
trustee.
trustee, and then the trustee makes sure all the bondholders get paid.
Right, and just so the public also knows, there's other nonprofit institutions here in the Lincoln and Minnehaha County areas who have done this before,
Correct.
right? Okay.
Your general folks are the nursing homes, the hospitals, your boys and girls clubs, those any of your nonprofit organizations.
Right, and there is a connection, just so people know, there is a connection with Augustana to Lincoln County. Not only do Lincoln County residents attend Augustana and also work there, there is a historic connection to the city of Canton with Augustana as well, with the Men's Preparatory School, and I know Commissioner Gibbon has spoken at length to me about that, so there is a historical connection as well, and I think there is some kind of requirement under
Hey.
the statute, isn't
Yeah,
there?
it's in
Yeah.
the environs, and so
Yes.
since Lincoln County is part of Sioux Falls and they're in Sioux Falls,
I didn't realize, I just had an epiphany here. Commissioner Gibbons, you're a graduate of Augustana as well.
No, I'm not.
You're
but,
not. Well,
I
there's
do-
only two kinds, the one that wish they were and the ones that did. And,
and which one are you?
well, I don't know if they acknowledged my graduation or not, Todd, but I did. But we've had two similar situations with Augustana where we've done identically the same thing to build facilities on their campus. For a little history from when it came from Rock Island, Illinois, Augustana did, and it located here in Canton, South Dakota. So that's the historical perspective.
Thank you.
When
Todd,
you're tired of listening.
yes.
Madam Chair, I would move that we issue the letter letter necessary, the rule of G17 for Lincoln County for the revenue bonds for Augustana College.
And that's to authorize signing of that
Yes.
letter?
The chair to sign, or am I in trouble again?
Nope, I'm just asking you to include that the county's agreeing to be a conduit and then agreeing to sign the letter, so we.
I should have, I
And
could
if
have
you
let
could-
Commissioner Aaron's do that because he has much more eloquent with his Juris
Authorize
Doctorate.
staff to proceed to get the notice, to schedule it instead of having to come back again.
So moved.
Okay, hold on. Sean, do you know what the motion is?
So we are authorizing the chair to sign letter and agree to be a conduit for Augustana University. And then we're authorizing something else.
Well, authorize, You
me to
want
sign the
Bill?
letter, so
yeah, authorize staff to schedule the hearing and put it on the agenda when it's appropriate.
Yeah, I think at this point in time, I think that little phrase about authorize, or, agreeing to be the conduit, that may be premature, right? We gotta go through a hearing process to determine if we're actually gonna do that. I think right now, the motion ought to be, is we authorize legal counsel to acknowledge the G17 letter, and then proceed forward with the hearing on whether to be a conduit financier for the project. Does that sound right? Is that a little more?
Well, at the hearing, after the hearing is concluded, they'll propose a resolution authorizing the bonds. So that would, if you don't pass it, then you're not the conduit.
No, exactly. And then I think I also would include in my motion is that we get a copy of that resolution ahead of time. Yeah.
Madam Chair, I withdraw my motion in favor of what Commissioner Aaron's has stated.
Sean, would you read the motion that's on the table?
I will do my best. We are authorizing legal counsel to acknowledge G17 letter and sign it, and to move forward with setting up a hearing, to have the resolution beforehand as well.
Yes.
Okay, and Commissioner Schmidt, is that your second?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Clarification?
Yes.
I guess, what is in it for us as a county, or what kind of money are we talking about down the road here? Is that too premature?
You mean for a fee for the county? I think there's none been set historically, so that would be up to the county. And just call me and after you've discussed it, what you'd like to set as a fee, because that's not unusual, but some counties don't charge anything. Some
We
cities-
haven't in the past.
But if there's costs, definitely has, that's,
Wow.
that's borne by the Augustana.
Thank you.
Sean, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes,
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
Thanks.
Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item number 9. On item number 9, I'm going to ask for a motion to table.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Sean, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
yes,
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Item 10, approve, purchase a mower tractor from Butler Cat. Terry wants some more, toys?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Looking for approval to purchase a Massey Ferguson 5700 series tractor, mower tractor from Butler Cat. This will come as a complete package with the mowers, be a rear mower and a side mounted mower attached. Cost on this is $141,418.56.
And that was in your budget, correct?
Yes, it was.
Thank you.
And Terry, this is kind of mower like when I'm driving on the highway during the summer and I see somebody mowing ditches and things like that. Seeing a tractor pulling a mower like along the,
These are not towed.
okay,
These are an actual mounted on the machine.
okay,
Just because it's, the tow ones, they won't work well for the ditches we're in, you know, the slopes on the ditches. So the reasoning we have a side mount is to get down in the ditch further and you can pitch it however whatever the pitch of the ditch is. And then the rear one is mainly for that top cut, and both of them are 5-foot cuts. So,
I suppose that probably makes it a little safer for the driver as well then?
yeah, that
He's
way they don't have
driving
to
on
get
it.
down and
Yeah.
run on the slopes the entire time,
Okay.
so.
I'd entertain a motion.
also move, Madam Chair.
I'll second.
Thank you. Sean, you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes,
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
Thank you.
Then I think we need a motion to convene as the Lincoln County Drainage Board.
I'll make a motion to reconvene as the Drainage Board.
I'll second, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Sean, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes,
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. What do we got?
We're now in the Drainage Board.
What are we hearing as Drainage Board?
I'll call Toby. He had said that he had something.
Yeah, there's nothing on the briefing form that we got.
We did have a good discussion. Joel, what night was that they had that, that was when they put the plan out, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we had our long discussion from a lot of constituents about their concerns about water, tiling, several other water distribution that we'll probably have to come to grips with at some point in time.
It was a good meeting. There were a lot of folks here who talked about it, and Wank Engineering gave a good report. I think basically it was a rehash of the plan, and they said they're gonna be bringing that plan forward to the commission, and maybe that's what Toby's gonna talk about here, and we
Yeah.
can ask Toby about that here in a few minutes.
Toby and John told Jennifer Cleveland, who told me that they were not going to come down because they don't have anything to talk to us about.
Okay, well, that makes
Very
that
well then.
simple. We can come out of Drainage Board, if I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Madam Chair, I know there are some people here that wanted to speak on that, but I know we have some people here that would like to speak on the drainage issue. Is there, what are we to tell them?
If they can speak,
I think they can speak.
just come forward. Come on forward and,
Just state your name and your address.
Ernest Strotmeyer, 28503 474 Avenue, Worthing.
What would you
Yeah.
like us to know?
Was that?
And what would you like to address the commission with?
Well, the county has tried to do things out at our area too, and with the conditions that the road has been rebuilt as a county road, and then after that it was blacktop, they raised the grade. And on this map here, this is the resident property where we're at, and I guess maybe if you understand this map and so on, that the water backs up right to our property and becomes a retention pond for the water. And this happens typically in the spring when we have the snow melt. Typically what happens is the snow stays in the road ditch because of the grass and so on. And then the fields melt and runoff happens. And it actually has been changed to where they've cut the road ditch, not when they built the road, but at a different time. It was expecting that it was when the farm person wanted better drainage, then the county, they convinced the county to come out and cut the road ditch deeper. And so that consequently, that caused the water to not go in the natural direction, which is crossed here. But by cutting the high point of the road and the grade down here, it allows the water to go in this direction. And they've been out there different times trying to correct it. They've added 2 crossover culverts. But when it happens, there's nowhere for the water to go when this is all full here. And instead of having it continue in this direction, it comes down in this direction and then starts to go this way to the west. And problems that causes is that we end up being flooded, and even now this year, it don't seem like we should get a flood, but if we get snow again now, it ends up being stopped in the ditches by the grass, and then the field thaws, and that water comes and gets up to our house. Even last year again, it was up to there. And my problem is that I have no idea how to go about fixing or doing anything, because this is a built-in condition now. And if the water would have continued to go across to the east, that's the natural direction, but being they cut the road ditch and then there's no place for it to go. There are culverts across there, but there's not enough to draw or carry away the water that comes when we have either a 3-inch rain or a spring thaw.
Mr. Trotmeyer, do you want to go back to your original photograph? So if we understand this, if we took from your place, which is located right up there in that corner,
Correct.
and we go down this road to the south, is that to the south, I'm
That's correct.
assuming?
Yes.
That the county has deepened the ditch from that first plus here up to your place, put in 2 culverts to try to get the water that come down the ditch to go back to its natural waterway. But instead, that's filled, so now it goes to the south of your property and then flows over? If I don't have.
Yeah, not quite like that, but at that point where this X mark is,
Yeah,
that is the natural high point.
okay,
And so that is, they have, first time the county came out and tried to improve something, they came right down by our driveway and put a crossover pipe.
okay,
And that was the idea, was to try to get rid of it.
yeah,
But the problem is it still just has nowhere to go, because when it does happen, it's coming too fast. And it doesn't get past the highway and so on. Then later, they came back and, where the natural waterway is here, they went approximately in here somewheres, and they put another crossover pipe, trying to get it to go here.
okay.
But it appears that their idea is that they're gonna think it's gonna go down the road ditch, and it's too level that it can't get there. And the way I understand it's supposed to be is follow the natural direction, which is across here, but it still has nowhere to go. It ends up, this here becomes a retention pond, is what it does. And the thing that I believe the person that bought this farm ground convinced the county to do was to cut the grade in the ditch in order to get this, because they improved their drainage in the field and got the water to come over here, but then it had nowhere to go. And John Peters has got the original, when we moved to this place, before this was a county road, the original was, there's a culvert down here, right where the waterway is. And it's a small steel culvert, but it's low and it's pretty ineffectual for what they've done for cleaning and opening up the fields to drain. It just has no chance of taking care of it.
Mr. Stratmeyer, can I ask you a question?
Certainly.
So, when you do have these periods of flooding, what kind of damage does it do to your property? Or what is it, can you explain what it does to your acreage out there?
Yeah. The water level has, I guess a bigger map of this would have been better. But the water comes right up to our house. We have no basement, we have a crawl space. And so consequently, it seeps into that, and the garages also, it goes right into the garages because the water level is at that point where it's at that level. I never seen any signs of water damage in our house until we've had that, when that year that flood was, I think that was 14, then we had it come up into the house, and I try to figure out what to do to fix the house and do things, and because it's an old farmhouse over, whatever, 140, 50 years old or whatever, they built them just on rocks and so on, and so they're quite low. But in the original, they apparently never had flood there because of the improvements that we've gotten by improving the roads. The grades are higher. And I'm only gonna suggest what I think they are, is like, first, when it comes from a township road to a county road, it raises it approximately a foot. Then we were there when the east-west road was blacktop, and that was, I believe, with gravel, I think gravel was like 9-inch and asphalt was 6 or whatever, something over a foot again. So it raises the road like 2 feet minimum or more. And so consequently, that brings it up to where it can't go over the road either, and it backs up and just stays there. And so my point at this point is, I'm trying to figure out what to do, and I don't know how to do something without bringing in fill dirt. And I had hoped that I was gonna be able to just live here until I didn't need it anymore, but I can't. I don't know how to fix anything on this property because the water just keeps backing up, and every year it's a chance. It's even like now. It seems like right now, well, we shouldn't have any problem now because there's no snow. But if we get a snow and it melts again, which it'll do soon because it's time of the year that it melts fast, I would expect that we could have the water back up there again.
Mr. Strautmeyer, I found this, I'm gonna try to point this with a pointer here, if it'll go that far,
Okay?
but it works over there, but
I think those laser pointers don't work when you
okay.
point them at a TV
Your
screen.
first, where your original culvert was, that first X, right there. If that were to be oversized, I mean, you said it was a small little steel culvert. If that was to be brought up to I don't know about hydraulic, but I mean, brought up to a decent size rather than a little steel one, that'd be one. 2, on the blacktop road that runs east and west, is there no drainage to take some of that water that pools there? Is that decent sized or?
Yeah, there's at least 2 large concrete culverts there.
And that still that pools all the water here. Okay, another one is if you were to upsize the culvert on the south end, is there any way that we can issue or that this water that runs in front of your house gets moved? Because it seems to me that just sits there, and that has to drain this whole area here. So is there anywhere for that water to go that would be in front of your house? Can that go further west?
That actually, there are culverts there also going to the north. But it's always when we have the thaw and the things are froze up and the water can't pass.
Okay.
That's when they back up.
Yeah.
Like even last year, I would say we didn't have a lot of snow, but we had some snow. Well, the culverts were froze up, the field started to melt, we had nice weather, and the water came to where it could, and it was in the snow, so it was like slush. And it came to right up to our house again at that point. And so we were just watching it and watching, you know, there's nothing I can do about it, they just watch it. And then by the afternoon at 4 o'clock, then the culvert started to open and it started to drain. So then I knew we were getting relief and it was going down. But then at the same time, what was happening is the slush in all the road ditch starts to get washed, and then the field came. 7 o'clock, 3 hours later, the water level came right back up, just because it was draining out of the field. There's like, you know, I've looked at this and so on, there's like about 200 or 300 acres here that has to come this way and get out of there somewheres. And, you know, it don't take a whole lot of moisture at that area to do it. My point, though, is I'm trying to figure out what to do, and cost is the thing with me. I don't know how to, I believe, in my mind, I'm at the point where I'm ready to do something different, but there's a cost. And the first cost is I figure I have to bring in 2 feet of earth in order to raise the grade up high enough to do anything that'll make it worthwhile. And at that point, I'd have to rebuild the buildings that I have. I'd have to redo a house and some kind of a garage shop or something. So it's a cost thing is where it comes to figure out what to do. And I don't know where to go.
And Mr. Stroutmeyer, this wasn't just a one-off occurrence. This is an annual occurrence that you say is happening since the grade was changed? Excuse me, since
Yes.
the ditch was dug deeper.
Yes.
So it's not just a one-off because maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we had some heavy rains. It's been going on and on. Yeah,
I
okay.
think Commissioner Aaron's, Mr. Stroutmeyer has a good point, and went out and visited his property yesterday, and, you know, his area does seem to be kind of like a holding pond. It's extremely flat. I know the county has tried to make some adjustments in the past with the culverts, and he shared with me that it actually hasn't helped any. If anything, it's made it more difficult. I do agree with him. I think people remember last year we had a snowstorm on Easter. And I know I had issues with water because just like you said, it warmed up so quick then a few days after Easter. And you're right, it does raise and cause problems. Even though it was maybe a minute amount of snow, it still melted quite fast. So I know former Commissioner Gillespie tried very hard to make some improvements out there with them. It's in Lincoln Township. And what is our county road there? Forgive me here.
135 and 121.
Yeah, and I know some of the ditches there, and I did look around on some of it. I don't remember the ditch on the east side. Has that been dug out at all of your property? No, or on the other side of the road that goes north-south?
Well, I don't know that they've dug it out. They may have made a little bit of a thing there, but the level to get from there down to 134 isn't enough fall. But once you get past the east-west highway, there's like from 32 elevation of 30 or 32 down to elevation of 07. There's like 25 feet of fall. So when I look at it, I refer to it as 134 acts as a dam because it can't get past it. But then you got the same problem with start taking water and pushing it here, and then the next person is pushing it more, and you got that much more volume. And, you know, and I don't know, I'm just gonna make a suggestion, is that when you develop property within a city type thing, they have to put in a retention pond. I've done some development and I know that. And I don't know that when they wanna drain these fields like this, that it's that good of a thing to just try to drain it all, because it just multiplies downstream to everybody.
I think too, if people would visit your area, they'd concur with you. You are at the crossroads right now, where either you have to make a decision of investing, but in doing so, obviously, you want to protect your investment, and you don't want the continuation of this to happen if you do make some change in your housing and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and then if that isn't bad enough, then to add insult to injury, then my property tax has gone up in the last 2 years by 20%. And over about 3 years, it's increased by 33%. And now the assessment for next year, it's increasing another 15%. And it's like, Something's gotta happen.
And your township has not been reassessed yet, correct, Lincoln?
I believe that's what was determined at,
Yeah. Mhm. And I did explain to him yesterday too, that the assessor's office has said that they do kind of make an increase, a blanket over some of the townships that have not been reassessed over a period of time, so it isn't such a drastic increase. But nevertheless, thank you for sharing that.
I
Thank
feel like
you.
you have something you want to say, Jim.
Well, I'm just, I'm looking at how, you make a good point, because the road that goes east and west, if you were to put another culvert in there to alleviate that, you're rushing more water down to somebody else and somebody else, and it just keeps building on that. So I'm trying to figure out, is there some way that you could modify some of that by upsizing culverts or anything? I think we would look at that. But overall, from what you have outlined about raising your particular house and garage is not cheap. But the alternatives may not prove to be as beneficial, even if we did that. And as far as your property taxes, Mr. Strautmeyer, I have a constituent that I have to go upstairs and talk about because their land value went up 70.28%. I can't understand that myself, so anyway, we got issues.
yeah, well, and there too, same way on property. I can see, without knowing any more than I do, that there's more building going on, there's more value within the county, so they have a larger base. So how in the world does it come up that we end up getting a higher tax rate? Not the levy level, but the cost to us is higher when you have that much more volume. That means if there is a spending going up 20%, I don't understand it.
Well, I mean, there's, lots of taxing districts, within there. Your school district is an independent entity. They set their own levy and they set their own taxes. Our job is to, I think the county's job is to determine the levy or the value of that particular property. Now, and that's up for judgment calls in some ways, but I concur with you on some of these situations, like the one I deal with. It's hard to understand how they can increase that. I don't have an explanation for that. I
Well, I looked at
intend to
that,
find that out.
I looked at that too, and here's one where it shows, these are the years, and we're talking now about the
I'm
levy
gonna,
thing.
we're sitting right now as a drainage board, not as a board of adjustment. I understand how it's affecting, or maybe affecting the taxable value of your property. I just don't think that that's what we're here on right now, so I'm gonna kind of cut you off, even though I totally understand what you're
Well, I'm just gonna do a
talking
little bit,
about.
and then I'll leave. These are the years, and you can look at these here different ones, and these are the mill levies. The mill levies don't, in reality, change hardly at all. So that's not it. But you look at the valuation that the assessment thing is, and that's where it's changed.
Did, when you were talking to Toby and John, did they have any solution? Are you gonna continue to work with them to see if there's anything they can do? Or would recommend to alleviate some of the problem on your property?
Well, we've had Clark Engineering out there, and that's the reason why they've done the things that they did do, is they added those culverts. But, they understand maybe their little drainage thing, but, you do one thing, it causes another situation, you don't know.
Sure.
I know when you first called me, you said something about that the road is higher than the house, and it's hard to visualize, but after being out to your property, you can kind of see the issue that you have there. And you're right. You may have to build that up a couple of feet, and like Commissioner Schmidt said, that's very costly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Strautmeyer.
thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak to drainage? Seeing nobody, hearing nobody, I would ask for a motion to adjourn as the drainage board.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sean.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes, and then I would like a motion to go reconvene as county commission.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Sean.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sean.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.